Adam stepped out of the hospital doors with slow, careful steps. The cool air touched his face, and for a moment, he closed his eyes and breathed in deeply. After days inside a bright, noisy hospital room, the outside world felt almost strange. He held a small paper bag with his medicines, and another bag with the clothes he had worn when he was admitted. His body was still weak, but he felt grateful to be going home. All he wanted was a warm shower, a quiet room, and a simple meal. He tried calling his wife, Sarah, to tell her he was finally discharged, but her phone kept ringing without answer. He told himself she was probably busy, maybe cooking lunch or talking to someone. She had been worried before he was taken to the hospital, and he hoped she would feel some relief knowing he was okay now. A taxi stopped in front of him, and Adam slowly got inside. The seat felt soft, and as the car started moving, he leaned his head against the window. The streets passed by quietly, but his mind was loud. He kept thinking about the last morning before he collapsed at work. They had a small argument, nothing serious, just stress, tiredness, and misunderstanding. But even small arguments can sit heavily on the heart when you're not well. The taxi turned onto his street. It was a normal neighborhood, kids playing, an old couple watering plants, someone fixing their car. But as the taxi slowed down near his house, Adam noticed something strange. At first, he thought it belonged to someone else. From a distance, it looked like a pile of clothes lying on the road near the sidewalk. The taxi stopped, and Adam stepped out carefully. He paid the driver and then turned toward the house. That was when he froze. The clothes on the street, they were his clothes, his blue shirt, his black jeans, his jacket, even the socks he wore last week. All of them were lying on the ground, some on the sidewalk, some on the small patch of grass, as if someone had thrown them out carelessly. A few neighbors looked at him for a moment, then quickly looked away. Their sudden silence felt heavy, almost uncomfortable. Adam walked forward, confused and embarrassed. He slowly bent down and picked up one shirt. It had dust on it, as if it had been lying outside for hours. His heart started beating faster. Why were his clothes here? What could have happened? He turned toward the house, hoping this was some strange mistake. That's when he saw it. A small paper note, folded in half, taped to the front door. The tape was barely holding it, and the paper moved slightly with the breeze. It looked too intentional. Someone had placed it there for him to see. Adam felt a tightening in his chest. He walked up the steps slowly, almost afraid to get closer. His mind started racing with questions he didn't want to ask out loud. Was something wrong with his wife? Did something happen while he was in the hospital? Why didn't she answer her phone? Why were his clothes outside? His hands shook a little as he reached for the note. Before pulling it off the door, he glanced around once more. Another neighbor opened their door, saw him standing there, and quickly shut it again. The street felt strange, almost colder than before, as if everyone knew something except him. Adam touched the note but didn't open it yet. He suddenly felt afraid of the words inside. Sometimes a few simple words can break a heart more than anything else. He stepped back and looked at the scattered clothes again. His mind kept trying to make sense of everything, but nothing fit. The lock on the door looked different too, as if someone had changed it while he was gone. He reached into his pocket for his key, trying to ignore the worry building inside him. The metal felt cold in his hand. He moved it toward the lock. It didn't fit. His key wouldn't even go inside. His throat tightened. Something was clearly wrong, very wrong. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. For a second, he hoped it was his wife finally calling. But when he looked at the screen, the number wasn't hers. It was an unknown number. The message read, "You should leave before things get worse." Adam felt his breath stop. His fingers loosened around his phone. He looked at the locked door, the scattered clothes, the silent street. Something had happened while he was gone, something he didn't understand, and the note on the door was still unopened. Adam stared at the message on his phone as if it were written in another language. You should leave before things get worse. Worse than coming home from the hospital to find his clothes thrown outside and his house locked against him. He looked up and down the street again. A woman sweeping her porch quickly went inside when their eyes met. A man across the road pretended to check his mailbox, but he kept glancing over at him. It felt as if the whole neighborhood was watching him but didn't want to talk. Adam slipped his phone back into his pocket and turned toward the door again. The note still fluttered lightly. Waiting, he finally pulled it off carefully and unfolded it. His hands were shaking so much that the paper made a soft crinkling sound. The note was short, only one sentence, but it hit him like a punch. I can't trust you anymore. The handwriting was familiar. It was his wife's. Adam stood still for a few seconds, feeling the weight of those words settle in his chest. He read the sentence again, hoping he misunderstood it. He did in single quotes his clothes on the street, the changed lock, the cold looks from neighbors. It all made sense now, at least a little. Sarah thought he had done something wrong, something serious enough to push him out of the house. But what? He had been in a hospital bed the whole time. Adam sat down slowly on the front step. His legs felt too weak to hold him. His hands covered his face as he tried to understand how everything had gone sideways. In such a short time, he thought back to the last days before he fell sick. Everything had happened so fast. He had been feeling weak at work, then dizzy, then suddenly, everything blurred. Someone called an ambulance. He barely remembered being taken away. His wife didn't even get to see him before he was admitted. Maybe she didn't know the details. Maybe she thought he disappeared on purpose. But still, throwing his clothes out, changing the lock, leaving a note like this, Adam looked at his phone again and thought about calling her. He tried. The call rang only once before it went straight to voicemail, almost like she had blocked him. He tried again. Same result. Frustration and sadness grew inside him. He felt stranded in front of his own home. The place he thought would comfort him now felt like a stranger's house. He pulled out the spare key from his wallet, hoping maybe that one would work. It didn't even fit halfway into the new lock. He wasn't just locked out, he was kept out. A single tear rolled down his cheek before he could wipe it away. He never expected this. Not from Sarah, not from the woman who held his hand during hard nights and stood beside him in every struggle. Just then, he heard footsteps behind him. Adam turned around quickly, hoping it was her. It wasn't. It was Mrs. Reyna, the elderly neighbor who lived 2 houses away. She had always been kind to him, always smiling, always giving homemade food during holidays. Today, she looked different. Her eyes were soft but sad. She walked toward him slowly. "Adam, are you all right?" she asked in a low voice. He tried to smile. "I don't know. I just came home, and I found all this." She nodded gently, her eyes moving to the scattered clothes. "I didn't want to interfere, but I saw what happened this morning. It wasn't pleasant." Adam felt a knot in his stomach. "What happened?" She hesitated, looking around as if afraid someone might be listening. "Your wife was upset. She said she received some message, something she believed. She didn't want to explain to anyone." Adam's heart dropped. "Some message? About me?" Mrs. Reyna nodded again. Sadly, "I think someone told her you weren't where you said you were." She seemed very hurt. Adam shook his head. "But I was in the hospital. Why didn't she come?" "She said she tried to call you. Your phone was off." Adam suddenly remembered. He had left his phone at home the day he collapsed. Sarah must have thought he turned it off on purpose. Before he could say another word, his phone buzzed again. Another message from the same unknown number. "Don't ask the neighbors. Go away. This is your last warning." Adam felt a cold shiver travel down his spine. Who was sending these messages? And why did they want him gone? He looked back at the locked door, then at the note in his hand, then at the clothes scattered like pieces of his life on the street. Nothing made sense anymore, and the worst part was, he still didn't know the full truth. Adam stood beside Mrs. Reyna, his eyes drifting from his phone to the silent houses around him. His heart felt tight, as if someone had squeezed it and forgotten to let go. The second unknown message echoed in his mind. "This is your last warning." Why would anyone send that? And why was he, of all people, being pushed away from his own home? Mrs. Reyna touched his arm gently. "Maybe you should rest somewhere else for now. Adam, you don't look well." He nodded weakly, though inside he felt restless. He didn't want to leave, not without knowing what had happened, not without talking to Sarah, but standing there wasn't solving anything either. "Thank you," he whispered, trying to give her a small smile. As she walked away, Adam slowly gathered his scattered clothes. Some were dusty, some damp from the morning dew, and some looked like they had been stepped on. He folded them loosely and placed them inside a grocery bag he found hanging on the gate. Someone had put a few more of his belongings in the bag: his watch, his wallet, a pair of shoes. They were placed neatly, unlike the clothes thrown on the street. Adam stared at the bag, confused. If Sarah was so angry, why would she pack some of his things so carefully? It didn't make sense. It felt like 2 different people had handled his belongings, one angry, one calm. With the bag in his hand, he walked slowly toward the small bench on the side of the yard. His legs felt tired, and the stress was making his body heavy. He sat down, trying to breathe through the mess inside his mind. His phone buzzed again. Not another warning. Thankfully, it was an email notification from the hospital. He didn't open it. He couldn't think about medical reports right now. He stared at the house instead. The curtains were closed. The small plant near the door, which Sarah always watered, looked dry. The welcome mat was slightly out of place. It felt like the house itself was confused, unsure whether it still belonged to them. Adam took a deep breath and decided to try the neighbors again. Maybe someone else knew something. Maybe someone had seen or heard more than Mrs. Reyna could say. He walked up to the house next door and knocked politely. He heard movement inside, soft footsteps, a whisper, but no one opened the door. He tried again, gently this time. Finally, the door opened just a crack. It was Mr. Khan, a quiet man who usually kept to himself. "Hello, Adam," he said softly, barely showing his face. I don't think I should be involved." Adam swallowed his frustration. "I'm not asking you to take sides. I just need to understand what happened." Mr. Khan looked uncomfortable. "Your wife was upset yesterday. Someone sent her something, a message, or a picture. I'm not exactly sure." He sighed, eyes lowering. "She cried a lot." "What did she say?" Adam asked, his voice cracking. "She kept repeating, 'Why would he do this to me?' And then she threw your things outside." Adam felt the weight of those words settle heavily on his shoulders. He wanted to ask more, but Mr. Khan quietly closed the door before he could. Adam stood still for a moment, feeling helpless. He wasn't angry, just hurt and confused. If someone sent Sarah something, he needed to know what it was. But how could he find out if she wasn't talking to him? As he walked back toward his house, he noticed a small cardboard box near the fence. It was taped shut but had his name written on it in Sarah's handwriting. He crouched down, opened the box, and found more of his things inside his charger. Some folded papers, his hospital badge, and even his favorite pen. The items inside were placed with care. Not thrown, not damaged, just packed. Adam touched the items gently, feeling a mix of sadness and relief. Maybe Sarah didn't hate him. Maybe she was just hurt and confused. Maybe someone had made her believe something that wasn't true. As he stood up again, his phone rang. This time, it wasn't a blocked number. It was a familiar name, Maya, Sarah's younger sister. He answered quickly. Maya, thank God. Do you know what's happening? Her voice sounded nervous. Adam, I think there has been a big misunderstanding. I can't explain everything on the phone. He felt his breath catch. Please, I need to know. Meet me at the park behind the old school, she interrupted. I'll tell you everything I know, but you need to come now, and don't go back inside the house. Adam looked at the locked door, at the scattered clothes, at the confusing notes and messages. Okay, he said quietly, I'm coming. He picked up his bags and walked away, not knowing that the truth waiting in the park would change everything. Adam walked toward the park behind the old school with slow, heavy steps. The afternoon sun was bright, but he barely noticed it. His mind kept going in circles, his clothes on the street, the note on the door, the warning messages from an unknown number, and the strange way the neighbors avoided him. Every piece of the puzzle felt scattered, just like the clothes he had picked up earlier. When Adam reached the park, he saw Maya sitting on a bench near the swings. She looked nervous, tapping her foot and holding her phone tightly. Normally, Maya was cheerful and talkative, but today her face looked tense and unsure. When she saw Adam walking toward her, she stood up quickly. Adam, are you okay? She asked softly. He tried to smile, but the heaviness in his chest didn't let him. Not really. I don't understand anything. Please, just tell me what happened. What did Sarah see? Why did she think she couldn't trust me? Maya sighed and sat down again, motioning him to sit beside her. Adam sat, feeling a mix of fear and hope. Adam, she began slowly. Sarah thought, you left her. He stared at her, confused. Left her? Why would she think that? She got a message, Maya said. Someone sent her a screenshot. It looked like a text conversation between you and another woman. Adam blinked, stunned. What? Who? That's impossible. I wasn't talking to anyone. Maya looked at him carefully, trying to read his expression. The messages looked real. It showed your name, your picture, and it looked like you were planning to go somewhere with someone. Adam shook his head quickly. No, that's not true. I never talked to anyone like that. I was sick. I collapsed at work and went straight to the hospital. I didn't even have my phone. That's what I tried to tell her, Maya said quietly, but she was too hurt. She kept saying you lied to her. She thought you disappeared on purpose. He rubbed his forehead, trying to push away the confusion. Why didn't she call the hospital? Why didn't she check? Maya swallowed hard. She did, but the hospital couldn't give her details because she wasn't listed as your emergency contact. Remember, you told them to call your office first in emergencies. They didn't allow her to get the full information, so when your phone stayed off for days, she believed the screenshot. Adam felt his stomach tighten. My phone was at home. I didn't have it when I collapsed. She nodded. Yes, but Sarah didn't know that. A long silence followed. The park was quiet except for the sound of leaves rustling and children laughing in the distance. Adam felt the weight of everything pressing on him. A fake message, a misunderstanding, a simple hospital rule, and a heart that believed the worst. Maya spoke again, her voice softer now. When Sarah saw you hadn't come home for 2 days, she broke down. She thought you had run away with someone. She cried all night. And when that fake message came again yesterday morning, she snapped. Adam closed his eyes, pain washing over him. He wasn't angry at Sarah. He could imagine how terrified she must have felt waiting for him, calling him, getting no answers, receiving fake messages that looked real. Who would do something like this? He asked quietly. Maya shook her head. I don't know, but whoever sent those screenshots wanted to break your home. Adam looked down at his hands. But the clothes, the lock, the note. She was hurt, Maya said. She didn't know how to handle everything, but she didn't throw everything away. Some of your things were packed carefully. Adam remembered the neatly arranged items in the box. Hope flickered inside him, small, but alive. I need to talk to her, he said softly. I need to explain everything. You will, Maya replied, but there's something else. Adam looked up at her. Sarah isn't home, she continued. She went to stay at our parents' place. She left this morning. Adam felt the hope sink again. Did she say anything? Yes, Maya said. She said she needed time to think, but she said she wasn't sure if she wanted to see you again. Those words hit him hard, but Maya quickly added, but I know her. She's only confused and hurt. If you talk to her calmly, she will listen. Adam nodded slowly. He wasn't ready to give up. Not after everything they had been through together. Maya stood up. Let's go. I'll take you to her. But just be gentle. She's not angry anymore. Just scared. Adam took a deep breath and stood with her. He didn't know what he would say or how she would react, but he knew he had to try. He couldn't let a lie destroy their life. As they walked out of the park together, Adam felt a strange mix of fear and hope to emotions, pulling him in opposite directions. Whatever happened next would change everything. Adam followed Maya down the quiet street, each step feeling heavier than the last. His hands were tight around the grocery bag holding his clothes, and his heart was even tighter. Maya kept looking back at him as if checking whether he was okay to continue. You sure you're ready? She asked softly. No, he admitted honestly. But I have to do this. They walked for about 15 minutes until they reached a small, peaceful neighborhood. Maya pointed to the house with the blue gate. She's inside. I'll tell Mom to bring her out. Adam nodded and waited near the gate. His chest rose and fell slowly, like he was trying to calm a storm inside. Every minute felt longer than the last. Finally, the front door opened. Sarah stepped outside. Adam's breath stopped for a moment. She looked tired. Her eyes were red, her shoulders slightly slumped, her hair tied back carelessly. She wasn't angry. She wasn't cold. She just looked hurt. She hesitated when she saw him. Her steps slowed, and for a moment, Adam wasn't sure she would even come close. But then she walked toward him with small, careful steps. Hi, she said softly. Adam swallowed. Hi. Silence stretched between them. Not the heavy kind they had earlier, but a sad, unsure kind. Sarah kept her eyes lowered, unable to look at him for more than a second. He finally spoke. I'm sorry you had to go through all this. I never wanted you to feel hurt. But I need you to know. I didn't disappear. I was in the hospital. I know, she whispered. Her voice trembled. Maya told me. I didn't know what to believe earlier. He stepped a little closer, but not too close. Sarah, I collapsed at work. I didn't have my phone. I didn't plan anything. I was scared too. She finally lifted her eyes. There were tears shining in them, but the screenshots, they looked real. It showed your name, your picture, and messages that sounded like you. Adam shook his head slowly. Someone faked them. I would never do that to you. Sarah pressed her lips together, trying to stay composed. Why didn't you tell the hospital to call me? I did, Adam said gently. But you remember last year, when I added my supervisor as the first contact after you switched numbers, I never updated the form. That's why they weren't allowed to share details with you. Sarah closed her eyes, pain flickering across her face. I tried calling the hospital. I tried asking, but no one gave clear answers. And your phone, it was off for days. And then the messages came. It felt like everything pointed to the same truth. I know, he whispered. I understand why you got scared. A tear finally escaped her eye. I felt abandoned. Adam, I thought you left me without even saying goodbye. Adam's voice cracked. I would never leave you. She looked at him looked at him for the first time since she arrived. Then why did someone want me to believe that? I don't know, he said honestly, but someone did this on purpose. Someone wanted you to lose trust in me. She wiped her tears, her hands trembling. I threw your clothes out. I changed the lock. I wrote that note because I thought you betrayed me. I'm so embarrassed now. He stepped 1 inch closer. Sarah, I'm not angry. I just want us to fix this. Together. She looked surprised at his calmness. You're not angry. How could I be angry at you for believing something that looked real? He asked. You reacted because you were hurt, not because you didn't love me. For the first time, a small, fragile smile touched her lips, a smile full of sadness and relief mixed together. Sarah took a deep breath. I want to believe you. I do, but everything feels confusing. I don't know what's true or who sent those messages. We'll figure it out, Adam said softly, not as enemies, not from opposite sides of a locked door, but together. Her eyes filled again, but this time, it wasn't only sadness, it was hope breaking through the cracks. Maya stepped outside then, watching them silently but not interrupting. Sarah finally nodded. Okay, she whispered. Let's talk, just you and me. Adam felt warm relief wash through him. They weren't fixed yet, but they were trying. That was enough for now. Sarah stepped aside. Let's walk to the small garden nearby. It's quiet. We can talk there. Adam nodded and followed her slowly, knowing that this conversation could either rebuild everything or break it again. Either way, he was ready. When Daniel entered the small service room behind the old house, the air felt heavy and cold. The single light bulb above flickered, making the walls look even older. In the corner, a woman sat on a wooden chair. Her hands rested on her lap. Her shoulders were tight, and her face was full of fear and shame. It was Anna. Daniel froze. After all the days of searching, worrying, and asking questions, she was finally in front of him. But the moment did not feel like victory. It felt like standing on the edge of something painful, something he did not fully understand yet. Anna lifted her head slowly. Her eyes were tired, and her hair was messy, as if she had been pulling it with her hands. She tried to speak, but her voice shook. Daniel, I didn't want you to find me like this. Daniel did not move closer. He kept a small distance, unsure of what she was going to say. Why did you leave everything the way you did? He asked quietly. Why the clothes outside? Why the note? Why disappear? Anna let out a soft breath. Because I didn't know how to speak the truth. I thought running was easier than facing you. Daniel felt frustrated, but also sad. Facing me about what? Anna stood up from the chair slowly. She walked toward a small shelf and picked up a small brown envelope. She held it with both hands, as if it was something heavy. This, she said, this is the result of a test I took 2 weeks before you went into the hospital. Daniel felt his heartbeat change. The room suddenly felt tighter. What test? He asked. Anna looked down, unable to hold eye contact. It was a test about my health, she said. They found something. Something that scared me. And when you got sick and ended up in the hospital, I felt like the world was spinning too fast. I didn't know how to take care of you and handle my own fear at the same time. So, I panicked. Daniel's hands felt cold. He didn't say anything. Anna continued, her voice trembling. I thought you would blame me. I thought you would think I was weak. I thought you would see me differently. And instead of talking, I broke down. I pushed you away. I pushed everything away. She let the envelope fall on the table beside her. It made a soft sound. I threw your clothes outside, she said, not because I hated you, not because I wanted to hurt you, but because I wanted you to leave. Before you saw me fall apart, Daniel's eyes softened. He expected betrayal, anger, or something cruel behind her actions. But this was something else completely. Something more fragile. Something human. Why didn't you just tell me? He asked. Because I'm not good at asking for help, she whispered, and I didn't want you to think I was a burden. The room became silent. Daniel looked at the envelope. He reached for it with slow fingers. When he opened it, there were medical papers inside. Nothing life-threatening, nothing dangerous, just something manageable. Something that only required treatment and time. Something she had blown into a monster inside her mind. Daniel let out a long sigh, not an angry sigh, a tired one. You didn't have to go through this alone, he said. I know, she said softly, but fear makes people do strange things. Daniel moved closer and sat on the chair opposite her. For the first time, she looked up and met his eyes. There was apology in her gaze, but also hope. So, what now? She whispered. Daniel thought for a moment before speaking. We start again, he said, but slowly, carefully, and this time, we talk. Even when it hurts. Anna's eyes filled with tears, not from sadness, but relief. You mean that? Yes, Daniel said, but trust is something we rebuild, not something we pretend is already there. Anna nodded. I understand. They stood together in that small room for a long moment. The fear between them was still there, but now it had a name, a shape, and a path forward. Daniel offered his hand. Anna took it. No dramatic music. No big emotional speech. Just two people finally choosing honesty over fear. As they stepped outside, the sun was setting. The sky was gold, and the air felt calm. Daniel looked at the street where his clothes had once been thrown, and he felt something shift inside him. Not anger, but acceptance. Life does not always break in loud ways. Sometimes it cracks quietly, and the repair is slow but real. And for the first time in many days, Daniel felt like he had his life back. Not perfect, not easy, but honest. And that was enough.